You're listening to Dairy Voice by Dairy Business News, a podcast exclusively for the dairy industry.
One of our sponsors of the Dairy Voice podcast is National DHIA. NDHIA ensures information accuracy and represents their members' interests. They are the direct voice for the dairy information industry. To find out more, go to dhia.org.
Hey there, after you've finished enjoying this podcast, might I recommend you join me, Tim Hammerich, and our guests on Clarity at Work from Zoetis. We'll be talking genetics and their place on the dairy. You've got a seat at the table as we discuss innovations, what's next for the industry, and more.
I have to find the value in everything that I do, and I still find value in Clarified Plus, so we're going to continue to use it.
Just search for Clarity at Work wherever you listen to podcasts. Once you finish with this podcast, of course.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's a new day. Welcome to the Dairy Voice podcast by Dairy Business News. I'm your host, Connie Kuber, with Sealpro Silage Barrier Films by AgriScience. Thanks for joining us today. Please like, subscribe, and share this podcast with your friends. So today's topic is sorting gates. I have vivid memories of sorting cattle on our farm growing up in Minnesota, and not all of them are fond. And we've all seen the memes and the t-shirts that say something to the effect of, "I'm sorry for what I said when sorting cattle." Today's sorting, of course, is much more technical and involves gates and involves more than waving hands, stomping feet, and loud voices, and in my case, tears. My guests today are Evan Platte, who is the Senior Application Specialist for Merck Animal Health, and Mike Blesy, who is the Farm Manager for Leatherbrook Holsteins in Americus, Georgia. Both have worked extensively with sorting, and I am anxious to find out how far we've come and what benefits we get from sorting gates. So welcome to the Dairy Voice podcast, Evan and Mike. Before we get started, tell us about yourself and how you got to this place in your career and what lights your fire to come to work.
So I'm Evan Platte. I live in Michigan. I've been with Merck Animal Health for just shy of 4 years now. Sometimes it feels like a year, sometimes it feels like 10 years. Since working with Merck Animal Health, I've been with Technology Solutions and Support Team. I cover the entire U.S. and primarily focus on dairy monitoring. And then I specialize a lot more in sorting and our parlor equipment and stuff like that. Prior to working for Merck Animal Health, I was a dairy manager, worked on a few different dairies over my dairy management career, but that's really what got me to where I am now. And really set up the foundation for what I do now and being able to bring those real world experiences and help out other dairies. Why am I excited to come to work today? Well, I think every day it's the possibility to help make change and implement change in dairies and taking my experience and being able to help implement that in other farms and in a different way, right? So by being able to take technology and whether it's helping implement monitoring or sorting gates, to me that is a real change, and that's a big change that really impacts those dairies and how they operate, and most times for the better, right?
With over 85 projects, California Bioenergy is without a doubt one of the leading developers of anaerobic digesters for dairy farms in the United States. Since 2006, CalBio has been forming successful partnerships with dairy farmers to create digesters that are built to last. Our CalBio team has the expertise to help lead you through the entire development process. From project design and engineering to credit generation and the day-to-day operations. With subsidiaries in the Northwest, Midwest, and Southwest, CalBio is ready to partner with dairy farmers across the country. Learn more at calbioenergy.com.
Mike, tell us about yourself.
My name is Mike Blesy. I'm the dairy manager of Leatherbrook Holsteins in Americus, Georgia. I've been involved in the dairy industry my entire life. I grew up and later managed our family dairy in Central Florida. After that, I managed a dairy in North Florida that my family was partnered in. When that split up, I managed a dairy in Okeechobee, Florida for about 9 years, and I've been at Leatherbrook for a year and a half. Probably what lights my fire, makes me want to come to work every day. I want to basically do better every day. I want to make more milk, make more pregnant cows, make higher quality milk, train my people more. I just want to figure out ways to do more, improve the KPIs.
Good. Thank you. Thank you both for that introduction. It's really good to meet you both. I'm glad you're here today. What are the biggest challenges on a dairy that sorting gates can help alleviate?
So I think there's a lot of things that it can help with. I think the biggest thing that comes to mind first is efficiencies, right? And to me, the beauty of sorting gates, it's not just efficiencies with handling cows, it's also the labor efficiencies, right? So you're getting two huge efficiencies with that. Focus that labor, what they do best, right? So keeping your skilled labor focusing on the right cows as opposed to searching for the right cows, really putting that focus and emphasizing on the cows that need the attention.
Sure.
And bringing them to them. And it's safer for everyone involved too, right? We don't have people walking through pens, disrupting cows. So to me, that's the biggest efficiency.
Mike, what do you see on your dairy?
Pretty much what Evan just said. I think he stole my answer. You eliminate the endless searching for cows. You have guys with a list in their hands waiting for cows to come out of the parlor or walking up and down headlocks, and basically the sort gates do that for you. And like Evan said, it allows your people to concentrate on working on the cows that need to be worked on instead of all the cows that you're trying to look through.
Evan, can you give us a basic explanation of how the sorting gates work and how they improve how we manage those cows and daily tasks?
I mean, the basic concept of a sort gate is pretty simple, right? The cows, we've got preloaded lists in a software, and the cows are going through the gates, and we've got designated cut areas or sort areas where you're going to send those cows. Every farm's going to be a little different. Some farms might have one cut area, other farms might have 6 or 7. It really just depends on how they're managing. The nice thing about that, especially with having multiple cut options, is being able to spread out the work a little bit too. Have specific cows. Maybe you got preg check cows going down one lane and your health and repro going down another, and that just helps the guys too. When they're doing the work. Hey, I know if the cows are coming down this lane, she's here to be preg checked. If she's coming down here, she's a health cow or a dry cow, whatever that might be. Yeah, so that's kind of the basic overview of it, and the benefits of that are the efficiencies that come with it.
Get your Sealpro silage barrier film today. Protect the seed, fertilizer, labor, and expensive inputs that you've invested in. Choose best-in-class Sealpro now in 3 different versions: traditional 2-roll application, our new co-rolled application, and super simple and wildly successful 1-layer film, Sealpro 1. It's easy to buy, easy to use. Contractor covering? We'll work with them. Learn more at sealprosilage.com. That's SEALPRO silage.com. Family owned and operated for over 25 years. 559-779-5961. That's 559-779-5961. What type or size of dairy is a good candidate for sorting gates?
I don't think there is a specific size. We've worked with, anything from 200 cow dairies to 20,000 cow dairies on sort gates. The big thing to keep in mind, the sorting gate's that's just one part of the entire system, right? You've got the sorting gate, and then you've got the area after the sort gate. And that's really when you start talking about size and stuff like that of dairies, that's where that second part really comes into play. Maybe a big dairy, there's enough work where they've got 1, 2, maybe even 3 guys that are designated to that sort gate the entire time for an 8-hour shift. And maybe that concept doesn't work for a 200 cow dairy, right? There's not enough work to keep someone busy there for 8 hours. So that's where it's just when you start thinking about the design after that, maybe the smaller dairy sets it up to where maybe they've got some pens with feed and water, and they sort those animals overnight and do all the work right when they get there in the morning. So I don't think there's a specific size of farm that there's a benefit for. It's more the space you have and how you want to manage facility.
And just to clear for our listeners, that where are these sorting gates located in the whole scheme of things?
Typically, they would be pretty close to where the cows are leaving the milking parlor. For us, ideally, that's where we want to put them. Especially over the last few years, a big chunk of our business is a lot of these dairies out out west that just have these big open lots, and everything was always done in headlocks, right? And
Right.
so we've gotten pretty creative with setting up systems there, because we've got cows going maybe in 3 different directions to go home. So it's focusing a lot on how do we efficiently get the cows through the gate, and then also be able to get them to go multiple places to go home.
Mike, how long have you been using sorting gates and what's been your experience?
I first started using sort gates in 2006 on the dairy. My family was partnered in North Florida. We had a 72 stall rotary parlor. Weren't sure of what we wanted to do as far as how we wanted to work cows. We were under a kind of a budget. We actually didn't really have the funds for a full set of headlocks. We built the work area and the sort gate after the parlor. And we found out we could basically do all of the work there. We could catch cows for all the reasons, and we had the sort different ways and different work areas, and then do all the cows on the list. It wasn't just one specific thing in one place. And in the labor efficiency, and we saw, and also it was much more cow friendly. The cows were allowed to go home and do what they wanted to do, and didn't have people messing with them out in the freestall barns. If you have a herd of 300 or 400 cows, you might need 10 of those cows, and you catch those 10 cows and deal with those cows, and everybody else goes home and fool with a lot less of the cows. And one benefit I saw that I liked a lot is like Evan said, most of the time the sort gate and the work area is right next to the parlor, and it puts all of your people in one building. All your, generally your herd health guys are your middle management, and so everybody, the milkers, the herd health guys, everybody's kind of together. And it seems to help everybody work better, maybe have a little more teamwork, and probably gives a little more oversight to the parlor too.
I'm assuming then that with your employees, you've seen this benefit.
Oh yes, very much. Of course we're in the South, so it's raining or hot or anything else, and of course probably up somewhere else or snow. We had a little bit, not very much. You're generally in a better work environment than going outside. All the time when we first started our work areas, I'd ask the guys, what would you rather do? You rather be here or you want to go outside? We can go back outside. And they always say they wanted to stay inside. It gives a better work environment for the people also.
Sure. And I would think just practically your supplies would be much handier, right?
Yes. We have a little herd office right next to our work area. It has a computer inside, has a refrigerator inside, has a microwave inside. Everything's handier, versus having it on a golf cart or on a little truck or something like that you have to carry around. It makes everything more accessible in cow side.
So Mike, what was the learning curve with implementing these sorting gates, and what training did you and your team need?
I can't really remember very much of a learning curve. I think a lot of times the guys didn't believe that it would work. Oh, what do you mean? You just type these numbers in the computer and boom, they show up. All of a sudden the cows are caught. Of course they learned that real quick that it works. Pretty much is learning how to make the list and how to use the sorts in ways that worked for what we needed to do. It didn't take much to implement the sort gates.
So to make up a sort criteria, you would figure out like if there's a drop in milk or increase in temperature, or how do you do that?
For right now, how we use it, we use the Sense Hub system. So there's it generates a heat cow list or a cows to breed list, and that's automatically sorted. A drop in rumination list, that's automatically sorted. We can put sorts on by ourselves for different cows if we need. All my guys have an app on their phone. We can sort from the app on the phone. So if they see a cow they think needs attention, they can type her into their phone. It's various different ways that we can catch cows. One big benefit I've seen in one of our parlors, we can sort from the parlor. And so instead of the guy seeing a cow that needs attention, he has to walk out of the parlor and go down the lane and wait for the cow to come to him. He just simply pushes the button in the parlor for 5 seconds and boom, she's caught. And that makes it much more apt to happen. It's a lot less work for the guy. It's much easier for him to do it, which helps it get done.
Evan, can sorting gates be added to an existing facility or only with new construction? And what's the process for installing those sorting gates?
I would say probably 80%, and it might even be higher, of the gates that we put in are in existing facilities, what we would call retrofits. Obviously, that's a little bit more challenging, right? Because, we're not starting with a blank canvas usually, like on a new build where, hey, we can add more space, we can really do what we want. So with the retrofits, it does get a little bit more challenging. I am yet to find a place where we haven't necessarily been able to make one work. A lot of times it's just thinking outside of the box and stuff. And we've had a lot of dairymen reach out that say, hey, we love the idea of a sort gate in our existing facility. We don't know where we could put one. And a lot of times we jump on a call and we go through stuff. And sometimes it just takes a fresh set of eyes to see that potential of where it could go. Retrofitting, we do a lot of that, and then a lot of new builds as well.
Both of our parlors, we have 2 parlors, an 80 stall rotary and a double 50. They were both retrofitted with sort gates and work areas. And the double 50, that we had to teach the cows to walk a different way. They walk uphill instead of downhill, and and got a lot of input from Evan. And it took a week or two for them to learn how to do it. Now they flow through it fine. So it's just like Evan said, thinking out of the box and say, okay, how can we make this work?
Right. And it only took a week for them to get used to that.
And I was closer to 2 weeks. I remember calling Evan after about a week and they said, how long is this going to take? It'll take 2 weeks. And sure enough, it did.
Yeah.
Well, but exactly to that point, right? It's sometimes it's, maybe from the dairyman's perspective, they're thinking, hey, a sort gate can only go here. But, maybe we come in and, like I said, you get a fresh set of eyes and say, hey, what about doing it right here? And then they go, well, yeah, I guess I never thought about that. Or, hey, is that even possible? Well, yeah, anything's possible. And cows are creatures of habits, right?
I was just going to say, yeah.
It sometimes it's, yeah, there's going to be pains involved. And a lot of times it's that 2-week pain point of, yeah, we got to get the cows trained to go in a different direction. But once cows figure out hey, this is where I've got to go home. From my experience, it's 2 weeks and that's the new normal for them.
Mike, do you have anything that you've learned from using sorting gates that you want to share with other dairy farmers?
I think the biggest thing is like Evan talked about is when you set them up is making sure your cow flow is good. If the sort gates work better if the cows walk through them at a natural pace and without any human involvement. They seem to catch better. The cows are much calmer. And talk to people like Evan and look at different places, because it's not just when you catch the cows, what you do with her afterwards, and how making it as flexible as possible and where you can do as many things as possible, because you'll figure out pretty quickly that, hey, I'm just not catching this cow to breed. I need to check health cows and fresh cows and lame cows and cows to move to a separate group. And you might want to do 3 or 4 of these things on the same day. Giving yourself flexibility with that in the future will help quite a bit. Get more out of your sort gate in your work facility.
We've talked about all these benefits. Evan, what are the potential pitfalls in sorting gates? And are there any things that dairy farmers need to be looking for before adding them?
A lot of it is doing your homework prior to putting them in. Do your homework. Make sure you've got something designed that's going to work right and stuff. Because if the design's bad from the get-go, you're going to have a bad experience. And maybe there's obviously multiple types of ways to identify a cow to sort, whether that be through RFID or infrared technologies and stuff like that. So make sure whatever direction you're going, you're doing noise evaluations. Make sure noise isn't going to be an issue to where you're affecting your sorting accuracy and things like that. Obviously, there's lots of different systems out there. A lot of companies, I guess, that provide sorting gates. So just make sure whoever you're going with, that gate is capable of doing what you want to accomplish. Whether that's the cow flow and how many cows that can handle per hour, without backing up your parlor. What integrations does that have with third-party softwares, with management softwares? One of our goals with sorting gates is we want to automate as much stuff as possible. The least amount of things that someone has to manually enter to sort, the better. So can you do that? Can you automatically set those up to sort and things like that? So like I said, I think a lot of it is just doing your homework and making sure that you're kind of checking all the boxes before you just throw a sort gate in. Otherwise, you could have a bad experience. And then there's obviously what you want to do with that cow after you sort her and stuff as well. Make sure everything's sized correctly to what you're trying to accomplish.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for your thoughts today. Evan, do you have anything to add?
For additional information on sorting gates, you can visit our website at sensehub-dairy.com. Also, feel free to reach out to your local Merck Animal Health representative or your dairy monitoring representative in your
Okay,
area.
so
She'd be
to
happy
summarize
to
our
answer any
conversation
questions you
today,
have
we've
and get you
talked
kind of
about
pointed in the right
sorting
direction.
gates and the efficiencies that we can get from them, from not just handling cows, but for labor and the focus that our labor is able to put on our cows. It's a safer environment, which is always big in my book. The fact that it puts all the employees in one place and your materials are on hand, there's better camaraderie with your employees. Everybody gets to work well together. These sorting gate systems can be added to an existing parlor. It doesn't mean that you have to build a whole new barn. You can do that. And when you are considering putting in sorting gates, to do your homework and design it well first and make sure that your expectations will be met.
I think from my part, it would just be to kind of hammer down on the homework part. Do your homework, look at some other facilities, and get people involved, right? Not just the management team. Get the people that are going to be working in those facilities and everything. Get them involved and really get a lot of input before you decide to start building.
Thanks, gentlemen. This has been a very helpful conversation today, and we can see how far we've come with sorting cattle with using this new technology of sorting gates. We've been talking about cattle sorting with Evan Platte, Senior Application Specialist for Merck Animal Health, and Mike Blesy, who is the Farm Manager for Leatherbrook Holsteins in Americus, Georgia. I'm Connie Kuber with Sealpro Silage Barrier Film by Connor AgriScience. You've been listening to Dairy Voice by Dairy Business News. Please subscribe, like, and share this podcast. And we appreciate the perseverance of all dairy farmers. And as I record this, planting season and in some areas, spring forage season is in full swing. So stay safe out there. Thank you for listening, and we'll talk again soon.